my computer. Cool. Thank you. So I'm really stoked to be here. This is a cool opportunity, and I'm just really excited to share everything that I've learned over the course of my career for y'all. So let's see if I can figure out how to share my screen. I'm going to mute all of you except for me. Share screen. There you go. Cool. Chat. Okay, can everybody see that? I think, hold on, yeah. Can everybody hear me and see that? Cool, cool. I only see Sean's head. Ryan, can you see that? The screen and everything? Cool. All right, good. Very good. Okay, so here's how this is going to work. I'm going to do about a 15-20 minute presentation. I will have like moments in between for everybody to ask questions. So don't like kind of raise your hand in the middle of it. I will get to you. Don't worry. So tonight we're going to talk about training, performance in life, and that's how everything kind of ties into it. And I want to kind of just lay the foundation for my beliefs, how I've gotten to where I am today, and just why I think all of this stuff is really important in the grand scheme of things. For those of you that don't know me, there we go. I've been a performance coach for almost 15 years now. Prior to that, I was a paramedic in the east side of Cleveland. I was in school for pre-med. I had full intention of becoming a doctor, but I saw the way that the medical system was set up that I thought there was a better way. So I became a performance coach as a way for preventative medicine. And that's how I kind of got started on this journey. Back in 2015, I was training for APF Nationals and I tore my adductor. I really couldn't find a physical therapist or chiropractor or doctor who could help me rehab those injuries. I think a lot of us have had those experiences where the doctors tell you like, hey, you'll never do this again. You'll never be able to lift heavy or run or things of the sorts. So I took my rehab I did it myself. A couple months later, I had a pretty severe back injury where I lost all feeling in my leg and had numbness and tingling for a couple months. And that kind of just sent me on this downward spiral, right? So in 2018, I had hit a kind of like a low point. I was contemplating kind of taking my own life. And there was a voice in the back of my head that said, hey, man, there's people out there that you haven't met that may need your help. So if you're not going to do it for yourself, at least do it for them. And it kind of hit me that I was being selfish in that I let these injuries that were my own fault for not listening to my body, lost touch with my body, that I was being selfish to take my own life with the skill sets that I had developed. So it was kind of right there that it kind of hit me that I had a skill set and there was other people like me. And I've seen that in this group that there's people who have been hurt or injured and they can't find the help that they need to get out of pain. They're told they'll never, run again. They'll never be able to play with their kids and things of the sort. So, kind of like, I want you guys to understand how capable you guys are if you just let yourselves be capable. And what I've learned is that I don't heal people. I don't fix people, but you have to heal yourself. You have to do the work. So my goal here as a coach and a practitioner is to teach you how to stop outsourcing your health to others. I had this discussion with Shannon. I posted it on Instagram the other day. I said, stop outsourcing your health to Instagram. And she asked me what I meant by that is that we're so out of touch with our own minds and bodies is that we're looking to social media and everybody else to tell us how we should feel, to looking to everybody else to heal our injuries. But when you go to rehab, you still have to do the work. right? So I want to understand like your power to heal is within yourself, not within others. But by working together with others, we can help get you where you want to go. And that's essentially what a coach does, is we help get you from point A to point B. I help you write the story that you're looking to write. So part of what I wanted to do with all this stuff is to teach you guys how your body operates, right? And help you create a belief system within yourself so that you don't have to rely on like, I want you to be able to rely on yourself. Okay. I'm going to educate and empower you so you're better than 99% of the coaches that are in the dumpster fire that is my profession. And I want to say that this is my profession. This isn't a side hustle. This isn't something I do as a hobby. This is what I do for a living. Okay. And for those of you that don't know, I've been a coach and columnist on Elite FTS for almost 10 years now. And their mantra is to live, learn, and pass on. Right. So you have to live life and you have to learn lessons, and then you should pass those lessons on to others. And I had a call with Craig today, and he's like, hey man, if there's anything that I can do for you, just let me know. If anything, you guys, the best thing you can do is pass on the things that you learn from not only me, but the experiences in your life to other people. Okay. My next biggest thing is ask questions. I am here as a resource for you to pass on all my 36 years of experience and knowledge and everything that I've learned up to this point, to pass it on to you. Ask better questions and you're going to get better answers. So when I put this ask better questions, get better answers, that's your time to ask questions during these discussions. So does anybody have any questions right now? I only get like 2 pictures at a time. Okay. All right, cool. So if for those of you that don't know me, I'm very big on words and how we use them. Johannes and I talk about words daily, definitions, the context in which we use them, and how we talk to ourselves. And I think it's really important to understand the definitions of those words so we can then better understand kind of just what we're doing in these conversations we're having. So my title that I've given myself is I'm a performance enhancement specialist. So what is performance, right? Performance is the action or process of carrying out or accomplishing an action, task, or function. Great, Nick. What does that even mean? Well, no matter what you're trying to do in life, there is an action or process that you must carry out in order to accomplish that action or task. Enhancement means to increase or improve in quality. So I am trying to increase or improve in quality your performance for life and or sport. A lot of the times, though, people don't know what they're trying to improve their performance in, right? We get a lot of superficial answers. I want to get faster. I want to get bigger. I want to get stronger. I want to lose weight, right? But what we have to do is we have to ask better questions, right? And that's my job as a coach, is I ask those questions. We help dig deeper so then I can take what is your human body and optimize it for you, right? So we can make the best or most effective use of your human body to enhance your performance. Therefore, that's what makes me, my job as a performance enhancement specialist. Okay. So I want to look at this word environment. I think this is a really important word that anybody I work with, the first thing we look at is their environment. And I'm going to go over all those things here in a little bit, but your environment is the surroundings or conditions in which you live or operate. Okay. So our environments in today's society are so stagnant and safe, right? And we are so set in our routines that as soon as something's off, it breaks us. It'll break us mentally. It breaks us physically. Like if somebody doesn't get their 1 hour morning routine in it, it fucks up their whole day. Right? We've become soft and weak. I like say, like today's post I put is like, we declare a war on weakness. Okay. And we are built for adaptation. Okay. That's my next word. We are built to be, this is how we got to where we are as a species, is adaptation, which is a change or the process of change by which an organism or species becomes better suited to its environment or which you live in. So most of us don't change our environments. That's why we stop evolving. That's why we no longer adapt. We don't face challenges as humans anymore. Adaptation has now become a choice. You have a choice to change your environment to force adaptation. And that's where training comes in. We can literally create life or death experiences, and I put that in quotes, in training. We can put ourselves in situations that break us physically, mentally, and or spiritually, okay? In a controlled manner, of course. I'm not saying like go put yourself, unless that's your thing, but we can literally force adaptation by changing our environment and through training in order to optimize and enhance our performance for life and or sport, okay? Questions? Everybody got their hands up? No. Cool. All right, so I want to go back to environment. So when I do an assessment with somebody and I work with new people, this is just a base of what I talk about and ask them. We go over their belief in something greater. Do they believe and have they attached themselves? So for me, 1612 is a belief in something greater. Working with you guys is a belief in something greater. So it has given purpose to my work, right? We look at people's relationships. You are who you surround yourself with. How well are you sleeping? Do you meditate? Do you have hobbies? Situations where you can flow and be present. What's your relationship with stress, right? Because stress isn't going anywhere. We need stress to adapt. That stress is what allows us to evolve, right? So it's not going anywhere. We don't want to reduce stress. We want to increase our resilience to it, right? How much you're getting outside. Sean, I saw that today. It was like you're working to get outside more. And I can almost attest, you're probably feeling better the more you are outside, right? Nourishment. What are you eating? How are you eating? How are you nourishing your body? And then the one thing, and this is the thing that, most of the things starts with, is human movement. My number one philosophy is you are a human first. Okay. And I believe it's the one thing you have control over. You can decide to sit or you can decide to move. So part of my job as a profession is to teach you how we learn to move, and teach you how to become learners and lovers of movement, because our body was designed to move. But if you look at our environments, we're so safe and stagnant, we don't move anymore, right? So I believe through all my injuries and my low points and my trial and error is that becoming masters of your body is the first step into changing your life. Because if you start moving, the mind follows, right? You start training, your mind comes with it. The mind takes a little bit more time to get on board because it doesn't want to change. It feels safe. The body doesn't like change very much. It likes to be safe. Everything's a threat. It'd rather stay inside. So go outside, right? And the brain, the brain it loves to learn. It's all it does is learn. And in order to learn, we need to expose it to new things, and movement is problem solving. The brain craves information and the body craves movement. So going out and moving is like killing two birds with one stone. Okay, so where do we start? Take the walk. People, I don't know where to start with my training, where I don't know what to do with my performance, right? Johannes, I believe I got this from you, man. Just take the walk, get up and move, right? What do most of us do when we're bored? We get on our phones, right? Take the walk. And I was talking to Willis Davis a couple of weeks ago. He said he just started walking 10 minutes every day and then 15 minutes. That's all he did. Lost a ton of weight. And then his mind followed. And then his relationships improved. And then his spirit got better, right? So movement, control your body. You can choose to sit or you can choose to move. And once you start moving, then the mind will follow, then the spirit will follow. And I believe that my next big thing is that find what moves you and move. But you can't find what moves you if you don't move. So what I mean by this is, like, when you start moving, you're going to start to be drawn to certain things, right? I don't think people are born knowing their passion. That you find your passion from doing things, because you need to know what you don't want to do and what you don't like to do in order to figure out what you do want to do. So find what moves you and move means, like, if you vibe with something and want to try something, go fucking do it. Climbing, kayaking, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, boxing, anything. go do it. Okay. So my underlying philosophy for creating a program and talking to people about training is this question here. Can I do what I want, when I want, free of pain, afraid of nothing, and full of excitement? If not, your training isn't that good. That first question is the most important thing. Can I do what I want? Well, what do you want to do? Right? So what are we enhancing our performance for? Well, that requires you to start doing things. That requires you to do things that you're interested in. But if you can't do what you want when you want, and you're not free of pain, and you're afraid of things, and you're not full of excitement, then I think your training isn't very good. And that's why it's hard for people to be consistent, or maybe they have trouble staying with a program or a plan, is because of this question right here. Right? So as you guys can see, like, performance is bigger than sets and reps. It's bigger than just strength training and lifting heavy weights. Yeah, that's part of it, but like, this is bigger than that. And when you realize that, like, that is a huge, huge game changer. And when you tie this into something bigger, you'll start to see that change. So this is kind of like my philosophy. This is how I approach programming for anybody. We build the body, we become elite movers, we level up daily by doing hard stuff, and express daily by going out into the environment outside the gym, and we're held back by nothing. Right? Can we answer this question? And if not, this is how we look at things. Anybody I work with, and we start here. I meet you where you're at, and this is how we get there. Okay, so we have to tie our training into something bigger. And if you don't know what that is, you have to start moving. And that was kind of going back to the beginning, was I didn't have a belief in something bigger, right? I had no direction until that voice came into my head and said, hey, there's people that need you. There's people you've never met that need your help, that you've acquired these skills, and it would be selfish for you not to share those with people. And when you find this belief, that's when the magic starts to happen. That's when you have energy. I've been stoked all day to have this conversation. You can ask my wife, like, all day. So excited. My belief is in you guys. It's in this group, and that gives me energy. That makes me want to train, right? I got to walk the walk. Because if you got a coach that doesn't walk the walk, then I don't think they're a very good coach. And honestly, I'm here just to provide some light and knowledge for you guys and help you guys create a belief system within yourselves. Okay. Cool. That's my talk. That's my little presentation for week 1. I think I'm done sharing screen. Cool. Is it just me now? Yeah. All right, cool. Anybody have any questions, comments, things they want to add or share? The floor is yours. I'm here for you guys till whenever. Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, I have a simple one in terms of recovery. I'm assuming you're familiar with the Normatec system, the leg sleeves. How effective are what? Because if you look on the internet, either they're the best thing ever or like a war crime. I'm not depending on who's writing the article. What is a realistic use case for them, and what type of effect should I expect to see?
So as a massage therapist, right, if someone asks me, hey, should I spend money on a massage or should I save my money and go for a walk? I'm going to tell them to go for a walk. You're going to get, if you feel it does something for you, do it. Like for some people they work, for some they don't. There's some science that says it works. There's some science that doesn't. My thing is if you get something out of it and you feel that it helps you in your recovery, then do it. It's the same with massage, acupuncture, chiropractic. I can find studies that show you that it does work. I can find you studies that show you that it doesn't work. It's more of your belief system within that technology. Does it work? Sure. Are there other things we can do that don't cost as much as $1,000 pair of boots? I think so. Okay. With recovery, we're going to talk about recovery kind of next week, but it's your ability to get back to a normal state, but we have to look at all the systems within the body that have to recover, right? It's not just muscular, it's your nervous system, it's your endocrine system, it's your soft tissue. There's all these other systems that are also recovering from it. Do they feel nice? Yeah, they feel good. So if you
if say you have one in your closet behind you for some reason that you've used once, and if you already have it's already sunk cost. Is it something like 2 to 3 times a week? Is it actually beneficial, or is it just
sure?
Okay.
Run it for. But here's how you can stack a habit, right? So on 3 days a week, I'm going to put my Normatec boots on, and then I'm going to read a book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm going to start to, right? So make use of that time. Run it for yourself for 2 to 3 months, and then see if it worked. Right? I'm not going to tell you it does or it doesn't. I want you to make that decision for yourself. Right. That's why I'll not like, hey, yeah, massage is great, but if you don't believe in it, like, I'm not going to.
Right. And I'm gonna be honest, as long as your answer wasn't yet complete bullshit, I'm willing to give it a shot. So
it's the belief system within it. Like, I don't believe in, I don't foam roll. I don't stretch, I don't get massages, right? But I'm a massage therapist. And I'm just being honest, because it's never worked for me, but I know it works for other people.
Okay.
Cool. What else? You guys can ask anything performance and optimizing the machine, nutrition, movement. And if not, that's okay, because we have these calls every week.
Can you talk about fighting the all or nothing mentality with this? With optimizing the machine? That's one of my huge hangups. I'm like all in, on fire for a while, don't miss a thing, and then one fuck up and it's or nothing, right? I'm all in or full junk food, no movement, right? I'm like hot or cold, and what do you do with that? All or nothing.
So I had a slide about this and I took it out. So I believe life is a balance between chaos and order. Okay, there's ebbs and flows, and our job with training is to help be able to bounce between that chaos and order. So as a coach, my job is I always say there's 2 roads. There's performance and then there's health, or we can say performance and competition, whatever. And if you go too far down one road, your body's going to check you and tell you like, hey, we have to get back into balance. So people who are all or nothing, they end up getting hurt. They end up getting to that extreme, and their body checks them through injury, through like stuff with their mental health. So that's what I mean by like us listening to our bodies. Like, and I know this as like a power lifter, is like we would ignore injuries. We would ignore those pains. But what ends up happening is now that little pain becomes a big pain. It starts as starts as a whisper, and it starts to talk a little louder, and then it yells at you, and then your adductor rips off, or you blow your back out, and then your body checks you and you can't walk. And it's like, I fucking told you, but you weren't listening. And that's what I mean by stop outsourcing. Like you have to listen. We have to listen to our bodies. It's trying to communicate with us. So when if you're all or nothing, and if it's either all health food or no junk food, like, I don't feel that's a fair balance to anybody, because I have a different approach on nutrition. I feel like we should be able to eat what we want and do what we want, right? Does our diet provide the same question? Can I do what I want free of pain when I want? Same with our diet. And if not, we have to build that balance. It can't be all or nothing, because all or nothing doesn't work. And that's that chaos and order, that ebbs and flows, that balance between health and performance. Like, I think you should compete, but you can't go too far. So like when I work with like football players, right? We don't play football when the season's over. We get their health back in order, because they were so far down the performance road. Right now we got to get their health back in check, because it's falling behind, and then we get their health up, so then we can get their performance up. And it's just this constant balance. Yo, Hans.
Hey, if you don't mind, I just want to hop on what Sarah was saying. So from a I guess a bit of a more pragmatic standpoint, what I would tell you is like there's a difference in like being all in and all out, and then having an overall like I'm all in. And what I mean by that is like we say we're all in or we're all out, but it's like your overall goal is X. I can't tell you what that is, but whatever it is, it's X. And then you're decidedly one way or the other, you never really reach it. So I guess what I'm saying is reframe your all in, you're all out. That makes sense? You know, so like if you're really all in on your goal, like let's say your goal is to run a marathon in the next whatever, right? That might require weeks of rest. It might require what it takes what it takes, right? And so that might be rest. It might be higher days, low days. And then the other thing here is like there's another thing to kind of think about. It's good, better, best. And I think Nick kind of works like that. I think we use different language when we talk about it though. Like the answer isn't always gonna be a solid answer. Sometimes the answer is just here's a good answer, here's a better answer, here's the best answer, or optimal, right? And so I think when you start talking about being all in or all out, like some days you only get to pick a good answer. Some days the good answer is you're at the gas station, you didn't prep your food, whatever else, and it's beef jerky. Or you got to chance those boiled eggs that might have been in there for 16 years, you know. But the best answer might be, hey, to wait an hour and go home and eat food. But you have to weigh those options, and I think it's a bit more macro look instead of being so like focused on what it is you have at the exact moment. Anyway, that's it.
That's super helpful. I have a tendency when I make the good or instead of the best choice, I make the good choice. I sometimes count that as a failure. It starts me on the all out track.
Well, yeah. So I had that conversation with Val in the group. You know, she would say, hey, I have trouble being consistent in my training. And like, well, we have to reframe our mind on what training is. She works 12-hour shifts, right? She's a nurse. So like, how can we find ways to train at work? So we can find ways to move your body at work. It's just changing our perspective. And all in means being all in on you, right? Like all in or all out. If you're not in on you, then like, and it takes what it takes. Anything you want to accomplish, it takes what it takes. And I think that's, and like Johan said, like sometimes like you just make do with what you have with where you're at. Like even it, like just 1% a little bit better, you know, 5 minutes of movement is better than no minutes of movement. Take the 5-minute walk. If you can't get to train that day, at least you did something to progress you forward towards your goals. If you had some ice cream, that's cool too. You just don't have to have all of it, right? Just have a little couple pieces. Johan, did you want to add to that?
I don't know if you hear me, but if you can, like the only thing I mean, you already said it, but just in reference to what you were saying as far as like being a failure or whatever else, I think the other issue here is like we always look at these things as like zero sum, but at the end of the day, man, like I think you're adapting as you're going, right? Like, so I train down range a lot. You don't have a lot of equipment, so you get done with what you get done. What I can tell you is at 40, every single training day I took that was only 20 minutes put me better off than my peers who are 40 and not feeling as well as I do, right? And so I would just tell you to focus on that. Right? Like, I got it. We want to be strong now. We want to look good now. We want to do everything now. But like Matt kind of says, like if you want to get strong, 4 to 5 days a week, moderate to heavy weight for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Right. So that's it.
And like being strong and looking good is a byproduct of the lifestyle. So that's why like one of the things I always ask people is like, who's the person you want to become? So if you want to become someone that looks good and they are strong, so then you have to ask, what does that type of person do on a daily basis? Right? Then you know what you have to do. I got to eat well, right? I got to put the time in. I got to, you know, so that's why it's important to ask those questions. Why do I want to be strong? Why do I want to look good? What's the real reason behind all of this? So then we can start to tie our training into something bigger. That's why like those, I don't want to say superficial, but like those ground level goals, like there's some roots to them, to that tree. And we want to get to that. So Michael, what's up, man?
Just to jump back to when you're talking about listening to your body. What would you tell a beginner? What would you tell them? How do they listen to their body? Because as somebody who kind of came to fitness again later in life, I feel like my body's saying something, but we're not speaking the same language a lot. So what is something you would tell someone to be like, hey, listen to this, but
so we always, you have to understand my lens is through movement. And, you know, I have my experiences with mental health, but that's as far as like I go. Like, you know, we look at your environment. So I always start with movement. How much we look at those questions, like the environment questions, and you have to look at how can we answer these better? Right? Do I have a purpose, a belief in something else, my hobbies? Do I move daily? Am I outside? And you start to look at those and see where you can, I don't think people need to be fixed. I feel we have opportunities for improvement. Okay. So you look at those things and how can I improve my daily movement? Right? How can I improve getting outside more? How can I improve my nourishment? How can I improve, you know, my belief in something else? So what we do when I say we start with human movement, I always start there, is that I teach you how to move your body, which we're going to talk about next week. Okay. We're going to talk about the difference between human movement and gym movements. And most of us think gym movements are the human movements. They're not. And I'm going to tell you why and ruffle some feathers next week on that. But I teach you how to move, right? Our joints all have ranges of motion. Can you move your body and your joints through those ranges? That's how you start to get on the same page with your body, is start moving it and start having conversations with it, right? So there's like certain requirements in range of motion that you need for breathing and walking and running and jumping and things like that. So do you have those required ranges? And if not, we start there. So we explore our movement on a daily basis. And it's weird, like as we've gotten older, like if you think about kids, all they do is move. And now adults are like, well, I don't know what to do, right? But a kid, you just put them on a playground, they don't think twice. And I see this when I go climbing. The kids are always in there, man. They're just climbing the wall. They're not even thinking twice, while the adults are like, I don't know how to do this, right? So that's how, like, I teach you how your joints move. And then I tell you that, hey, now you go just move on your own for 5 to 10 minutes. Put some music on, right? Like, and dance a little bit. But I always start with movement, and then we look at those 8-9 things from the environments checklist and see where we can start improving it. And then if things start to get better, then we know we're on the right track. But even if you go to a doctor for like heart issues or GI issues, like it's still going to come down to those things. Are you moving every day? Are you getting outside? Are you sleeping? Are you getting the nourishment from your food? It doesn't matter which doctor you go to. It's always going to come back down to lifestyle. And to get in tune with your body, you have to like start having conversations with it, start moving, journaling, right? Have those conversations with your brain and yourself. Yeah.
And is there one thing, I guess the difference between soreness versus more recovery is needed? Is there anything that like screams out to you? Like, because obviously if you're sore, you know, from the activity you did before, like, okay, I expect to be sore. But what is there a line or anything that jumps out at you specifically where this is soreness, this is, you need to take another day to recover?
Well, that's just you listening, right? So part of training is like is building the body up and then pushing you past the point of like, see how much you can actually train and recover from. And sometimes you just push. I mean, most of us in this group, we've probably pushed a little too far sometimes.
Right.
And sometimes that's when injuries happen. And then, you know, understand like injury happens because your body wasn't strong enough to withstand the forces that were placed upon it, right? So soreness is just a byproduct of training. Like you have to understand when you train, you're actually breaking down muscle tissue. And those are like micro tears in the tissues and like the soft tissue. So if you're too fucking sore that you can't move, you probably went a little too hard.
Okay.
So when we call it like max recoverable volume, you start looking at volume. But I don't know. My approach to training is a little different, man. I want people to go into the gym, and once they get bored, we move on to the next exercise. You know, hey, how many sets should I do? Start with 2, and then I'll say 2 to 5. If you feel good at 2, you're done. If you want to do 5, go for 5. And it's just a slightly different approach. Obviously, if we're training for competition, it's a touch different. But for when we're training for life, I want you to be in control of it. And that's kind of just teaching you. And you got to know when to push and when to back off. And that requires you to push hard sometimes and not getting hurt, but being really sore.
Right.
What else? We're going to talk about recovery. I think people have a weird recovery is just getting back to our normal state, right? And we can do things to facilitate that, but it's all still going to come back to those environmental questions. How's your sleep? How's your nutrition? Are you moving daily? Are you getting good breath work in? Do you have a belief in something else? Are you getting outside? Like, it's always going to come back down to those, right? Those questions are literally what I work on people with. So if people are like, oh, I don't want to work with a coach, like, here, deep dive these questions for yourself. Like, I'm literally giving you how I run my business, right? This is how I work with my one-on-one clients. It's like, hey, these are the things we work at. My job is to make sure you don't need me. I don't want people to need me. But look at those environmental questions. I'll screenshot that and put it in the group. And so you guys can refer back to it. And then just deep dive that. Where can I, small improvements in all of those. And just, that's pretty much life. How can I keep improving in them? Well, what else has anybody got? Yeah, and like Sean said, like the balanced performance and health, like there's a sacrifice. It does take what it takes if you want to compete at a high level. And that it was for me during powerlifting. I kind of got to a point where the injuries were starting to add up. It just wasn't worth it. Nobody cares about the weight I lifted. Most people can't, like Sean and people who like Rhino, man, you can attest to, like, people can't conceptualize like lifting 700-800 pounds, you know. So it's just a number, and it's the only person that number mattered to was me. So my injuries were, you know, I thought about my future. You know, when I hurt my back, the doctor said, you'll not, you know, playing with your kids, you won't be able to do certain things again. Like, you know, there's risk reward. And when you start to get into that higher level, but I saw a lot of elite athletes, and especially lifters, they keep having the same injuries. So to me, their training's not very good. If we keep seeing pec tears and triceps blown off and low backs hurting, there's something's wrong with the training, in my opinion, because I grew up with the guys at Westside and Elite. That was my training for powerlifting. And like, you sometimes you can't train like a powerlifter year round. You have to, football players aren't football players year round. That's how I always relate it to, is like, so powerlifters can't be powerlifters year round. What do they do as soon as they get done with the meet? They go back to training like powerlifters. And then they wonder why their shit hurts. But if they took like 6 weeks off, you know, that's where that balance of health and performance comes in. Hante, what are 3 takeaways you want us to walk away with? Is that you guys are capable of so much more if you just let yourselves be capable of it. Okay. I think the number one thing is you guys are humans first. So get in touch with who you are as a human in movement. Move daily is my biggest thing. The movement it will change your life, because it's just going to open doors for you, because your brain craves movement, and you're going to feel better mentally and physically if you just move your body daily. And I got something coming out with Dope on how to like move your guys' body that you guys will get here soon. And start creating a belief system within yourself. Stop outsourcing your health and everything to other people. Let a coach help you and guide you to where you want to be, but understand, like, you have to heal yourselves. You have to do the work. So yeah, human first, you're capable more if you just let yourselves be capable, and you have to heal yourselves would be the 3 things. And this is bigger than sets and reps. I could talk all night. Cool. If no one's got out anything else, I will screenshot the environment things and post them up right as soon as we get out of this call, and just deep dive the environment stuff, man. Powerlifters being powerlifters, posting these. Yeah, man. Like, that's the biggest, and they don't listen. I'm telling you, if they would just train a little bit differently, powerlifters would have more longevity in their sport. If they would train like strongmen for like half the year, they would probably do better in their sport. But I don't know. Guys don't take me serious because I'm not strong anymore. Sean.
All right, I finally can actually speak instead of cars driving by. No, I basically make my powerlifters, one, take a week off post-meet. Like, week off, hey, come in and just do whatever, but don't touch a barbell. And then the next 3 to 6 weeks is more or less strongman training. of just like, here, move some shit, feel good. There you go.
And that's what I do with every professional athlete that comes out of season. We have to restore their joints. I had this conversation with the coach the other day. He said the worst way to train a pitcher is like a pitcher.
Yeah, they fucking throw enough.
That's what they do for a living. They need everything but pitching to get better at the sport. Like there's, and that's runners. It's everybody. Like runners are some of the worst. They need strength training. They need to take time away from running. Like we can stress the aerobic system in different ways that don't involve running. You know, it's like they're afraid. But that's where our job as coach, Sean, like you get it as a coach. Like our job is to build that trust with them, right? Is to have these conversations and put that information out there. So you build that trust to show them, and then there's that ripple effect.
And sometimes trust starts with just like, and then being like, hey, you pay me. Just fucking listen.
Yeah. But that is it too. You know, one of the guys I have, he would just ask question after question. It's like, look, dude, sometimes like you just need to do it. I ask you to do it. Hey, I'm the professional here. I appreciate your guys' questions sometimes, but sometimes you just need to do. It's funny, man. Like the people don't question their doctors, but they'll question the trainers that they're paying thousands of dollars for. But they won't question the doctor they got a $30 copay on. It's just the system. That's when I was a paramedic, man. The system was broke. The system is so broke and it's failed us miserably. And like, if you guys are the guys in here that are coaches, like you guys are healthcare professionals. Sean, you're a healthcare professional, man. Like, and I think we've talked about it before. But people put their whole health and life in our hands, and a lot of these guys have weekend certifications. It's fucking wild. And we'll tell people how to move and train and what to eat, and it has effects all over their body, I think. But that's a different soapbox I'm not getting on.
I mean, starting that soapbox, that's why I don't understand why some trainers do meal plans.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, dude, you're not an RD. There's so much more that goes into that.
And
Here, eat this.
It fucks with their hormones, and it's like I'm all for like not staying in your lane, because sometimes you need to change lanes, but like know what you don't know. And I've worked with clients. I'll tell them like, it's not my wheelhouse. I can find somebody that it is, but be okay not knowing what you don't know. Cool. So yeah, those are the three things. You're a human first, move often. You guys are capable of so much more if you just let yourselves be capable. And bonus is you heal you. You have to still do the work. Everything we talk about in 1612, you still have to do the fucking work. So that gives you the power and ownership over it. So, you know, every injury I've had, the doctor, you still have to go to rehab. You still have to put the reps in. You still have to do the recovery. So here's everything that we use in the clinical side and the gym side. Here's everything we use. Now, if you need specifics or need more help, that's when you work with a coach. Cool. Next week, we will talk about human movement versus gym movement and the difference of them, and then how improving your human movement will improve your gym movements. Okay. So if you guys have questions, ask them in the Discord. Like I said, I'll get that picture up here as soon as we get off the call, and I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow.
Do you have any recommendations for reading on movement before we meet next Tuesday?
No, I'm going to give you everything. There's a lot of I can recommend the books that I've read. So okay. So I believe that breathing and walking are two fundamental human movements. And my belief in walking is based on what is known as the spinal engine theory. So if you'd like to sit down and read about the spinal engine theory, more power to you. I'm going to be able to explain it in 1 to 2 sentences. But if you want to read, so it's some guy who was studying salamanders and how salamanders move, took a look at how humans move, and saw that the spine is what drives all movement. And if you look at how people sit or how people move, they don't move their spine very much throughout the day. So the number one thing to moving and feeling better is to start moving your spine better. That's hands down. That's going to be the big talk next week, is the spinal engine theory. The spine drives movement. And if you can't move your spine, you're going to have trouble moving. And then the next one would be breathing mechanics. Look at how breathing mechanics go. That's going to be like an anatomy book in biomechanics. We're going to talk about the concept of compression and expansion from when we breathe. I also have a breathing book coming out with Dope or 1612. I'm not sure how we're going to, the marketing on it, but it'll come out soon. So everything we're going to talk about on breathing next week, I've put into like a 40-page document that explains all of that. But under the breathing mechanics, you just have to Google it. But spinal engine theory is pretty much that, and the mechanics of breathing. If you understand those two things, then you'll have a pretty good idea on the fundamentals of human movement. And I don't want to get, I can talk about movement all night, so I want to save that for next week. You guys get me? I love the spinal engine theory. I think there's two things with walking. There's in the spinal engine theory is the one I prescribe to. There's different theories on gait and how we walk. I've learned about all of them. Spinal engine's what makes the most sense to me. So I'm telling you, if you want to learn about gait, go research gait and form your own opinions. I'm just going to give you what makes most sense for me. Cool. Very good. All right, everybody. Well, appreciate you coming in, and I will see you all tomorrow.
Thanks, Nick.
Bye, guys.